times of his life.
I shall regret it for as long as I live.
The prisoners were moved first to Independence, then to Richmond. One tedious night as they lay chained together, they were forced to listen to the guards brag of foul and vicious acts against the saints, including the defiling of women and children.
Suddenly the prophet arose, chained hand and foot, and rebuked the guards.
Silence! Silence, ye fiends of the infernal pit! In the name of Jesus Christ, I rebuke you and command you to be still. I will not live another minute and hear such language. Cease such talk, or you or I die this instant.
He stood erect in terrible majesty, chained and without a weapon, calm, unruffled, and dignified as an angel, as he looked upon the quailing guard. Dignity and majesty have I seen but once, as it stood in chains at midnight in a dungeon in an obscure village of Missouri. Polly P. Pratt.
Finally, the prisoners were taken to Liberty, where they would spend the long, cold winter months in cramped conditions. Meanwhile, the saints were making their way across Missouri toward Illinois.
O God, where art thou? How long shall thy hand be stayed, and thine eye behold the wrongs of thy people? How long shall they suffer these unlawful oppressions, before thine heart shall be softened toward them?
When the saints were driven from the state of Missouri, it was a circumstance that we could not understand. Our only hope was that as God had given us a prophet, he would certainly tell us how to manage and where to go. Oliver B. Huntington.
My son, peace be unto thy soul. Thine adversity and thine affliction shall be but a small moment, and then if thou endure it well, God shall exalt thee on high. Fear not what man can do, for God shall be with you forever and ever.
By April 1839, public sympathy was changing. The jailer confided to the prisoners that the governor had laid a plan for their release. During a change of venue, the sheriff showed them an unsigned document to that effect, telling them he was going to take a good drink of grog and go to bed, and they could do as they had a mind to. Joseph and the others decided to take their own change of venue to Illinois.
I cried, Lord, what will you have me do? And the answer was, build up a city and call my saints to this place.
What Joseph first saw when he arrived at Nauvoo was a swampy, infection-ridden peninsula sticking out into the Missouri River, which I personally think he purchased only because it was all that he could find. It was a place that every summer was beset by malaria. People died. He himself and his family were sick. It was not a promising location.
Many lay sick along the bank of the river. Joseph healed all that lay in his path. Among the number was Henry G. Sherwood, who was nigh unto death. Joseph stood in the door of his tent and commanded him in the name of Jesus Christ to arise and come out of his tent. He obeyed and was healed. Wilfred Woodruff. God bless you.
He was not an ordinary man. Saints and sinners alike felt and recognized a power and influence which he carried with him. Mary Alice Lambert.
By the fall of 1839, Nauvoo was taking shape.
The building up of Zion is a cause that has interested the people of God in every age. All right. Steady? Yep. Got it. All right.
In the fall, Joseph set out for Washington to address the wrongs suffered by the saints in Missouri, but the trip proved fruitless. President Van Buren offered no redress for the injustice suffered in Missouri.
I'm sorry, but the president does not have time for you. Does the president know how long I've been waiting? how far I've come? I'm sorry.
But Joseph's visit left an impression on many who met him.
Smith is a man of the highest order of talent and great independence of character. As a public speaker, he is bold, powerful, and convincing. The New York Herald.
Governor Boggs was infuriated when he heard that Joseph had paraded the actions of his state before the president. He tried several times to have him extradited back to Missouri, but found no support in the courts of Illinois. Meanwhile, Joseph set about establishing a city government that would protect the citizens of Nauvoo.
He was ignorant of letters as the world has it, but the most profoundly intelligent man that I have ever met in my life. John Taylor.
He knew that God had called him to the work, and all the powers of earth and hell combined failed to deter him from his purpose. With the help of God and his brethren, he laid the foundation of the greatest work ever established by man. Eliza R. Snow.
It may seem to some a very bold doctrine, a power which binds on earth and in heaven. God has made provision to redeem the living and the dead.
He took heaven, figuratively speaking, and brought it down to earth, opened up in plainness and simplicity the things of God. Brigham Young.
He interested and edified, while at the same time he amused and entertained his audience.
I was born with them.
Even his most bitter enemies were generally overcome if he could once get their ears. Polly P. Pratt.
I never wanted him to go into the garden to work, for if he did, it would not be 15 minutes before there would be 3 or 4 or sometimes a half dozen men around him, and they would tramp the ground down faster than he could hoe it up. Emma Hale Smith.
It was the disposition of the prophet, when he saw the little children in the mud, to take them up in his arms and wash the mud from their bare feet with his handkerchief. Mosiah Hancock.
He was a great favorite among the children. I have known him to stop as he passed and play a game with the boys. Mary Little.
How we loved that great, good man, Mosiah Hancock.
Early in 1842, Joseph opened the Red Brick Store. The office upstairs was used to perform the first endowments in this dispensation.
Throughout the eternity,
He taught me many great and glorious principles. It was from him that I learned that the wife of my bosom might be secured to me for time and all eternity. Polly Pratt.
In the spring of 1842, an attempt was made on the life of Lilburn Boggs. Accusations were made that Joseph had conspired to have him killed. A flurry of warrants and legal proceedings followed, forcing the prophet to become a fugitive in his own city.
During this time, I became racked with guilt for my actions. I wrote to the prophet in Nauvoo, "Brother Joseph, you know my situation, and God knows it. I am as the prodigal son. Though I never doubted or disbelieved the fullness of the gospel, I have done wrong. I ask forgiveness in the name of Jesus Christ of all the saints."
Dear Brother Phelps, it is true that we have suffered much because of your behavior. The cup of gall was filled to overflowing when you turned against us. However, we are yet alive. I shall be happy once again